So, Impact Wrestling has announced that the Super X Cup tournament will return in 2021, specifically at the Impact Wrestling Genesis event in January. Now, the Super X Cup tournament, even say, is returning to Impact Wrestling. Impact announced yesterday that the tournament will return on Saturday, January 9, at the Genesis special event on Impact Plus. The Super X tournament will see the stars of the X Division do battle to win the Super X Cup trophy. Now, the first ever Super X Cup tournament was held in 2003 with Chris Sabin winning. Could be interesting to see if Chris Sabin once again enters that tournament. Samoa Joe then won the tournament in 2005. GFW/Impact brought back the Super X tournament in 2017 with Desmond Xavier winning. Of course, Des is now signed to WWE at the WWE Performance Center. Impact likely, I would assume, will be announcing participants and full details for the tournament soon, but I would think at this point it's probably highly likely that the X Division champion Manic, TJP under that mask, will be in action. The previous Super Cup tournaments have featured 8 participants, so it's likely we'll probably see the same scenario for the Super X Cup for Genesis in January. Genesis is the first Impact Plus special event of 2021. It airs from Skyway Studios in Nashville, Tennessee on Saturday, January 9, as I mentioned, exclusively on Impact Plus. Now, it's big news when it comes to the X Division, of course, having the Super X Cup return. What I will probably say about this is what I've said about the X Division, quite frankly, for the last few months, is I do think it does need a bit of a shot in the arm. I do think it needs some... I don't think the talent is necessarily the issue. I would probably say they might need more talent in the division. The X Division historically, I think, is very cyclical in the sense that it is a proving ground for people to get to the main event. People that might not necessarily ready for the main event, but it's kind of a starting point for them in Impact Wrestling, right? We've even seen people of all shapes and sizes appear in the X Division. That's the great thing about it, is that it's not about weight limits, right? It's about no limits, as the old cliche used to go for the X Division. And that's why we've seen people like Brian Cage, Samoa Joe, Abyss even be the X Division champion as well. So I think that's... I just think it needs more variety at the moment. I have found it's been quite flat, and this has been for a while, to be honest. I felt that some of the best X Division matches of the year were actually Chris Bay versus Willie Mack. I really enjoyed their matches and their feud. I thought Willie Mack was actually probably one of the perfect encapsulations of what an X Division champion should be, in the sense that he was a guy that is a bigger guy, doesn't look like your prototypical X Division wrestler, but he could still do all the things that the X Division wrestlers could do, and maybe even better. I thought he perfectly suited the X Division, and I thought he was a nice reminder of what the X Division can be. Like I said, I have just felt that maybe it's been a little bit off there over the last sort of 6 months or so. I thought Chris Bay was a great X Division champion. I thought his reign was maybe too short, but I suppose now, given that Chris Bay is kind of floating around the main event scene, maybe that's why as well. Maybe that's the case of, you know, we need you for the main event position, so you can't be X Division champion anymore. I think it's interesting when you've got someone like Ace Austin on the roster that isn't appearing that much on Impact recently, why he can't go back. Maybe he'll be featured in there as well. You have to think as well, Chris Bay has also been featured when it comes to New Japan in a tournament for them recently, so maybe Chris Bay might win his own tournament in terms of the Super X Cup and come back and do that. Nevertheless, it's good to see the spotlight coming back for the X Division. It's good to see a tournament with that prominence be featured once again at Genesis, and I'm excited to see how it plays out. I'm assuming it's going to be a one-night deal at Genesis, which is going to be interesting because it's going to take up the majority of the card then if it's a one-night deal, because I mean, if there's going to be 8 people in there, there's going to be several matches in one night, so I'm assuming that'll be a part of it. So that's going to be, looks like a major part of Genesis in 2021. Of course, also we have announced is Moose facing Willie Mack in an I Quit match on that show too. So the show is shaping up. The only things, as I said, that have been announced are the X Division Cup tournament, or the Super X Cup tournament, and the match between Moose and Willie Mack. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And as I mentioned, over the next few weeks, it will be announced who's actually participating in that Super X Cup tournament. But while we're talking about the X Division, what I did want to talk about as well is Jake Crist. Now, of course, Jake Crist, it's been a story about him departing Impact Wrestling officially. Now, we've known this is the case for a while, but officially now, Impact Wrestling, former Impact Wrestling star, has revealed he is officially a free agent after he departed Impact Wrestling. Chris took to social media to confirm his current contract status. He said, quote, "It's official, free agent, #motivated." He tweeted that on Tuesday. He said, "My time at Impact Wrestling was some of the best of my career. I wouldn't be who I am without my time there. Thank you for everything. This isn't the end, it's just the beginning." That was in a follow-up tweet. Now, the former Impact Tag Team Champion had previously mentioned that his contract was due to expire on January 1st of 2021, the same day as Ethan Page's contract expires with Impact Wrestling, but it would would appear that both parties have agreed to part ways earlier than planned. Crist was a member of Ohio versus Everything, a stable that he performed in various independent promotions as well as Impact. His brother and tag team partner Dave Crist was also a member of OVE, but Dave's Impact tenure came to an end back in June when his contract was terminated due to allegations made against him during the hashtag Speaking Out movement. And I think, to be honest, once his brother Dave was released by Impact Wrestling, and after those allegations were made against Dave, about the Speaking Out movement, I think it was very obvious, and many people thought it was very obvious that Jake Crist wasn't going to stay around with Impact Wrestling. I felt that Jake Crist was a good talent, but as I mentioned, once his brother was released and once those allegations were made against his brother, obviously he's going to side with his family, and he decided to... or Impact, I would probably say it's a mutual thing. He has done an interview since, Jake Crist, with Wrestling Inc., and I do want to read some of his quotes about that. But I think it was a very difficult situation for Impact Wrestling. At that period of time, you had people like Dave Crist, Jerry Ryan, Michael Elgin as well. They were all had allegations against him as part of the Speaking Out movement, and still to this day, I think the Speaking Out movement was massively historic for the pro wrestling business. If anything, I find it slightly perturbing the amount of people that did have allegations, and I suppose they only are allegations put against him, and it's like nothing has happened like 6 months later. Nevertheless, I think it was probably difficult for Jake Crist after that. Once these allegations have been made against your brother, and your brother is no longer working with the company, what do? You probably would side with your family, I suppose. So that was the situation. It was always very obvious he was never going to come back. Once his brother disappeared off TV, as well as him, it was very obvious that was going to be the case. So now it's just official, essentially. As I mentioned, though, Crist did do an interview with Wrestling Inc., and he had some very interesting things to say. So on becoming a free agent, he said, quote, "Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I'm just motivated more than ever right now, to be completely honest. I found inner peace within myself, and that's the key to life. Not having heat with anybody or anything like that. I have no negativity in my life at the moment, and that's why I have this pep in my step. That's why I'm happy. That's why you see this big smile on my face. I'm a free agent, baby. I'm a free agent." Now, talking about his exit from Impact Wrestling, he said, quote, "My contract was up in January anyways. I didn't think there was going to be any type of renewal or anything like that. I finally got a hold of the office, and I told them I had a couple of opportunities coming up that I wouldn't mind if I could jump on those, and they granted that to me. So here I am. Now I'm a free agent, and I couldn't be more happy. I was still under contract for 6 months, not being used and sitting at home." As I mentioned, and as he mentions there about sitting at home and still being under contract, look, I think Impact in general, from anyone that had those allegations against them, wanted to stay as far away from it as possible. Whether that is Jake Crist, and he didn't have any allegations against him, but his brother Dave did, or Michael Elgin, or Jerry Ryan, they wanted to stay as far away from that as possible. I think that's just the situation there. I think they were probably saying, look, his contract's up in January anyway. We'll pay him the base rate, I'm assuming, of his contract. I don't know if he would have actually made money in terms of not actually appearing at the TV tapings. I'm not sure about that. Nevertheless, it's not surprising, is it? It's not surprising. And now he spoke about this communication breakdown that would have been his real impetus to leave Impact Wrestling. This is what he said. He said, quote, "Pretty much, yes. I wasn't hearing anything back. I thought with the things that I'd done for the company, the way they treated me, I thought it could have been handled. But I also understand, too, them wanting to distance and do anything. Like I said, there's no hard feelings, and I wish them nothing but the best. And I have a lot of friends that still work for the company, and like I said, nothing but the best for them." So I think he understands both points of view here. Obviously, he was with the company for 3 years, and he didn't do anything wrong. I guess you don't want to use the phrase guilty by association, because he's not. Like I said, these allegations weren't at him, they were against his brother. Nevertheless, it's a very difficult situation for everyone involved, isn't it? And I think that was the situation there. Now, in terms of what's next for him, he said, quote, "I will say this, I've reached out to a few different promotions. We'll see what comes up with that. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just trying to focus on me and my character, the modern man in black. This is the first time that I'm not in a tag team, not in a faction. I need to prove myself not only to the fans, but to me. I feel like I need to prove myself as a singles performer, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm taking that opportunity, and that's what I'm striving to do on any type of level. If I end up on TV somewhere, I hope I do, but if I don't, I'm happy being an independent professional wrestler." Now, where do I think he'll go next? I mean, it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a very difficult one as to where he'll end up next, because he's going to have that association, unfortunately, with his brother, and it's going to be a touchy topic and a difficult subject to broach, quite frankly, isn't it? But like I said, on the other side of things, you have people that did have allegations against them as part of that movement over the summer, and they're working. Well, they're still in WWE in certain cases, and they're still working. I suppose the issue right now is that the independent scene is essentially non-existent because of the pandemic and because of financial issues at the moment. That is a problem as well. So can he find regular steady work on the independent scene? I don't know if he can. I don't know if anyone can at the moment. Is he going to go to AEW? I don't think so. I don't see where he fits in there. And if he does, I think he'd be on Dark, and that would just be about it. So I don't think he goes there. MLW, it's a possibility, I suppose. But again, they have quite a tight roster at the moment. I don't know. It's all depends on which promoter is willing to run the risk, and it's not a risk against him, and it's not a slight against him. And I feel really, I empathise for him a lot, because it's a really unenviable position to be in, because anywhere he goes, they're going to say, wow, you know, all this sort of stuff. But then, like I said, on the flip side of things, look, there are people that did have those allegations against him. They're still working, and Jake Crist didn't have any allegations against him as far as I'm aware of. So it's a very difficult situation. I mean, we could go to Ring of Honor, maybe NWA when they start opening up again. I don't know. And I think he'll probably do the select indie work where he can, where it's possible. I think he's doing these interviews with Wrestling Inc. to try and, you know, generate a bit of awareness about his contract situation, about his profile, try and do a bit of positive PR, I guess, as well. It's a strange situation, no doubt. But as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Jake Crist officially departing Impact Wrestling and the Super X Cup returning at Genesis in January 2021? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. Get involved with the community below, and be sure to drop a comment. All opinions are welcome. If you haven't enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.